And welcome back to the Homemade Podcast of Sports with your host, Jay Pops. Guys, we're back. We're live, people. We are live. It is a Tuesday, 2023. All right, it is about 11:50. It is about 11:50 a.m. All right, guys, I know I did not come out with a podcast on last week to talk about the Tennessee game, but please forgive me on that. That was just a busy week. And I figured, hey man, it is what it is. I was going to pop back up. I haven't been doing my reaction podcast only due to just family events. But guys, we're here now. We're here. And as you can hear it in my voice, guys, I'm not frustrated. I got all my frustration out on last weekend. Why? Because we should have won that game against Tennessee. Texas A&M had no business losing that football game. They had no business losing against Alabama. They just did not. When you have a team that commits over 10 plus penalties in a game that is not you, that means one exact thing here. Texas A&M is beating themselves at the moment. Yeah, I said it. Nobody else is going to say it. I said it. Texas A&M is losing these games not because of the opponent. They're losing because they're making mistakes themselves. They're beating themselves. At the line of scrimmage with the offensive line, quarterback, he's falling over the offensive lineman's feet. It's not because he's being pushed back into the offensive lineman. It's because of just basic things that he's not doing. Basics. And this is Max Johnson. Max, I love you, baby, but come on, man. You got to step it up. You have to. You're put on an elite team. This team is elite talent-wise. I'm sorry. It just is. Everybody want to talk about the coaching. Oh, man, the coaching in elite. I'm going to tell you right now. 50-50 here. 50% is on the coaching. 50% is on the players. All right? And for whatever reason, it looks like everybody is trying their best to protect the players from being blamed on some of the issues. You guys, man, look, you guys going to take some of this blame too. I love all of y'all, but y'all are going to take some of it, okay? And it's just hard fault coaching, okay? I'm not behind those walls. I'm not, okay? I'm not in that football complex. I'm not. However, I've been on the sideline before, okay? I've been on that sideline, and I've been on the sideline where I had to take plays, put them on the sheet, and give them to the head coach and say, hey, man, we got this amount of yards. That's why I can break down the analytics like the way I do. Guys, I've done it before. I'm going to tell you right now, from what I'm seeing on my from wherever I'm sitting at the time, from what I'm seeing, it just looks like, for number one, we're holding on to the ball for too long. Okay? And for the life of me, I can't understand why Max is sitting back there. And this is when Max is I'm not going to lie, Tennessee should have sacked him right here. But he was back there, and he pump faked, looking dead at Noah Thomas. He pump faked, and then he threw the ball. That's called hesitation. Don't hesitate. Just throw it, man. Just throw it. Okay? Just throw it. I'm hearing this talk. Shout out to Thunder U Sooner. If A&M buys out Jimbo Fisher, who do you want as the next head coach? I'm not even much looking at for. I'm not, because it's not a head coach out there that I want right now. It's not. I still want Jimbo Fisher to be the head coach of this football program because the guy knows how to win a national title. He knows how to get there. He knows how to win conference titles. The only problem and the issue is that he was never in this conference winning the national title and conference titles as a head coach. He was just never here. A lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people hate when I speak. But like I say, man, this is 50-50 right now. And from the way I see it, this was the season that I had with Texas A&M. I said 11-1 was the season. 11-1 was the ceiling. 9-3 was the floor. As of right now, they're 4-3. They can go out and they can win you 5 more ball games if they just put everything together. Don't be so perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You're just being placed there to win a game. You're being placed there to win a football game. Don't be so perfect. And I think this is what's getting this team because they want to be perfect. I'm going to tell you another thing too. And a lot of people are tired of saying this, but look, man, Max is coming in there, and Max was the backup QB, okay? And it is what it is on that. However, I'm like everybody else, though. It shouldn't have been a big drop-off. But like I just said, Texas A&M is beating themselves right now. It's not the opponent. It's Texas A&M. Tennessee gave this team so many opportunities to come and win the ball game. This is what Tennessee kept on hollering when their mistakes was being made. Come on and beat us, A&M. Come on and beat us. Damn it, blow us out. That game should have been a true road blowout. It should have been 24-7, Texas A&M. That's all you had to score. You didn't even much have to get 24. All you needed was just 20. And that would have been a ball game. I promise you that would have been a ball game. But it was just too many mistakes being made. For the life of me, I can't figure out why we're a first half team and then the second half is a strong drop-off. This is what I've been realizing. And I'm going to go back to saying this too. When Connor was in there, man, when Connor was in there, I'm sorry, man, when Connor was in there, Connor had an instinct. Connor had a killer instinct. Whatever he seen, whether it was throwing the ball down the field or taking off and running, that was Connor's instinct. I'm gone. He waited 1, 2, 3. That's it. He did not go past 3 seconds. If he did go past 3 seconds, he scrambled out the pocket. He scrambled until he found somebody. However, I just don't see that with Max. And I believe that Max is just doing his best to play perfect football. It doesn't have to be that way. Also with Connor threw the ball away if he didn't see nobody, or he threw it at the wide receiver's feet. Max is taking sacks. It's no reason why you should take sacks. And then when he's trying not to take a sack, he's almost going to the ground and he's trying to throw the ball away at the same time. And he's gotten called for 2 intentional groundings in 2 straight games for doing the same exact thing. Somehow, Max, you're going to have to snap out of it. That guy can throw the football. I'm not going to sit up here and act like he cannot throw the football. He can throw. He has to give his wide receivers a chance. And it's looking like I'm bashing Max Johnson on here, right? But I'm actually not. I'm just giving you some things to look at. Ever since Max has been in there, I believe that he's a little bit afraid of turning the ball over. But then again, he's turning the ball over. So when he's going and dropping back and throwing to the wide receivers, Evan Stewart, Noah Thomas, Anais Smith, Moose Muhammad, all those guys are waiting on him to just throw the ball to them so they can make the play. I don't think Max has developed that in his mind yet, in which you don't have to make the play for them. They're going to make it for you. And that's where it drops back to the killer instinct that Connor had. Connor had that killer instinct of, my wide receiver is better than your cornerback. And I'm going to prove that. You know, I'm going to prove that. Regardless if I throw an interception or not, I threw this ball up to where my wide receiver can only catch it. Now, if you catch it, okay, fine. For instance, go back to the Miami game. When Connor threw the ball to Anais Smith was falling down. That's the only reason why that guy caught that interception. All right. But then again, Miami defensive back was in the right place at the right time. And Anais was falling down. That just is what it is. Even when we were losing that football game and we were looking like it ain't no chance that they was going to come back, Connor continued to play. He continued to play ball, and he continued to get his offense in it with him. His offense was behind him. Like, okay, Connor, come on. If we're going to make a comeback, come on. With Max, it's just conservative. It's conservative. And we don't need you to play that way. I'm looking at the coaches' faces, and the coaches don't need you to play that way. You are a better quarterback than what you are playing like right now. That's not all on the offensive line. Y'all are not going to blame all of it on the offensive line. Max, you are a better quarterback than what you're playing at the moment. Okay? You are that guy, right? You are that guy for the rest of the 2023 season. Connor isn't coming back through that door for 2023. He's absolutely gone. He's gone. Okay? He got injured. It is what it is. We've all come to a place with that, and we're good. We have to keep pushing forward. Going forward, we need you to do what you've done in the Arkansas game, but better. But better. All right? Evan Stewart trusts you to throw the ball to him. Noah Thomas trusts you to throw the ball to him. And look what you did when you threw it to Noah. Noah caught every pass that you threw to him. He didn't drop not one ball. Because Noah was just like, just throw the ball to him. I got it. Bro, I'm 6'6". It's no defensive backs that we're going to play up against throughout the remainder of the season that's 6'6". That's just what it is. Just throw up jump balls. And if Noah don't catch it, okay, fine. But at least you're giving him a chance. Ainias is going to run routes to where Ainias is going to be open. Don't wait for him to get open. Just throw it. By the time Ainias gets there, the ball will be there. You know? So I believe that's one thing that we got to fix, you know, and that's just one thing that Max has to get out of his head. Once again, I'm not mad. I'm honestly looking at the back half of the season like, okay, is this who all we got left? The teams that we have left are these teams here: South Carolina, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Abilene Christian, LSU. Not one of those opponents scare me. Why? Because you got the defense that has made their adjustments. Okay, Josh DeBerry. Josh DeBerry should have been playing nickel from the start. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Now, I don't know. I think Deuce may have been hurt. Deuce may have been hurt. You know, and that's the reason why Josh DeBerry had to start right there. But we're not going to, but DJ Durkin made up his mind to say, hey, I'm not going to continue to give out bad film to NFL scouts because I'm putting you in this position. I don't want you to go out that way. And DJ Durkin fixed that. I don't want you to go out that way. Okay? I just don't. So let me put you in another spot that's going to accommodate you, your strength, and your skill set. So what did DJ Durkin do? DJ Durkin put him in a nickel. Look at what Josh DeBerry did in that game when Tennessee was going to go up again. Josh DeBerry said, no, I'll make the play. And he called an interception on Joe Milton. Right there. Joe Milton ain't even much see him because of the coverage. That's what we want. That's called a defensive adjustment that had to be made. We're tired of putting our cornerback in the spot to where they're going to be burnt. That's called smart coaching. That's why I told you guys, stop talking about DJ Durkin because he's going to get it fixed. He's going to get it fixed. This is the best defense that he's had to work with ever since he had been at Michigan, man. And I told you guys that he got to fix. Bobby Petrino, when we came into the season, Bobby was doing Bobby things. Now, being that Max is the new starter now, I believe, and this is me. This is honestly my belief. I believe that Bobby Petrino has to give Max Johnson the Conor Wegeman playbook and say, run those same plays that he ran. Why? Because in this playbook here with Conor, it's a quicker release. Work on it during the bye week and come back and we'll see what's what in a South Carolina game. Okay? That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Somebody is saying, will Jimbo get it fixed? Jay, question is, will Jimbo get it fixed? I believe he can. I believe he can. He's not holding the play sheet anymore. He's the actual CEO. That's why I can't give up on him just like that. He's the CEO. He can get it fixed. It's an easy fix. I was just talking to a former player just a minute ago, and he told me Basically, to sum it all up, bro, they just need to get back to the basics. The offense just has to get back to the basics. And that's it. And once they get back to the basics, it's pretty much game over. Okay? You need to score more points. You need to score more points. That is it. The defense is holding up. How long can you expect this defense to hold up, though? Okay? Because I'm gonna give you an example. Tommy Rees is still not a good offense coordinator to me at Alabama. However, Alabama is 4-0 in the conference right now. Okay? You guys hear what I'm saying? Tommy Rees has now found out that Jalen Milroe cannot throw intermediate passes at all. He can't throw short passes at all. If he does throw it, that means he's kind of sort of getting lucky. He's kind of sort of getting lucky. Okay? However, he knows that Jalen Milroe is 90% accurate on deep ball passes. So what is Tommy Rees doing? He's just giving these guys simple go route patterns. He's changing the wide receivers on the go routes. But he's giving them simple go route patterns because that is fitting Jalen Milroe's skill set. He can only throw deep. That's it. If that's how we're going to win a football game on offense, so be it. And that's what Alabama is doing right now. They're throwing the football deep. They're throwing it deep. So, Thunder, are you sooner? The real quick is, Jay, will Texas A&M go 8-4 again? I'm going to be honest with you. It is a real factual possibility that they could go 8-4 again. They could go 8-4. However, like I say, with the back end of this schedule, they're setting up pretty good on a realistic shot. On a realistic shot here, they can go 9-3 to end the regular season. And as far-fetched as that may seem, and as delusional as that may seem, you guys can see them actually going 9-3 with this schedule. The reason why I say that is because of this. South Carolina has no defense at all, but they got offense. Before I get there, the elite defensive lines in the SEC, the elite ones in the SEC, on their schedule, on Texas A&M's schedule, they have now seen all three of them. It's no more defensive lines that's elite after Tennessee. They played them already. They played Alabama. They played Tennessee. Those were your two elite defensive lines that you were going to see in back-to-back weeks. They lost one game by 6, and they lost the other game by 7. Those were your two elite defensive lines. It's no more elite defensive lines after this. Your offensive line got handled by those elite defensive lines. You flip that page around, A&M dominated Tennessee and Alabama's offensive lines. They dominated. These were 3 elite defensive lines coming all in, and A&M was one of them. You have now gotten through that stretch of your schedule. The only reason why a lot of guys are going to say 8-4 or possibly 7-5 is because you go on the road to Ole Miss and you go on the road to LSU. LSU, I had already marked that as a loss because you just haven't won down there since 1993 or 94. And that isn't Jimbo Fisher's fault. I just seriously cannot place the blame on him on that. All right. However, the road losses, period, that we have now is just insane to me. It now marks 2 years, and I heard this on Texas. All credit to them. It now marks 2 years that Texas A&M has not won a road game. They haven't won on the road. I have no clue of why we have not won on the road. We have no business not winning on the road. We have no business of it. None at all. However, that team that was supposed to win in Baton Rouge that year, they just happened to have a defensive breakdown in the backfield. They had a defensive breakdown in the backfield in 2021. And guess who was on that team? Max Jones. He was the quarterback. So that's why I'm not understanding why Max is playing like the way he is. A lot of people are just blaming this on Jimbo. Oh, well, Jimbo is holding them back. Well, what is he holding them back on? He's not on the field with them. He can't be holding all. And then somebody said, well, he done the same thing to Kellen Mond. The difference with Kellen Mond and the rest of everybody else, although Kellen Mond wasn't great, Kellen Mond was still a damn good quarterback for Texas A&M. Kellen Mond was coachable. And me and Eric Crenshaw was talking about this on last night about how Kellen Mond was so coachable. He listened, man. He listened. It's a reason to why Connor had started. Connor, listen. I need to know what the message is now for Max. Max has to listen. Max has to be coachable too. Max comes from an athletic family, okay? With old Big Brad. With old Big Brad Johnson. He just has to do the little things and make it all come together, man. And make it all come together. I see somebody saying Jimbo is affecting the team by being conservative. You talking about going into the half. Okay, now let's get to that. When it gets to going into halftime, I don't care about where we're at on the field. I need to see better results. It doesn't need to be 45 seconds left on the clock and we're taking a knee. Why? Now, that's one thing I will question. Why? Who's telling you to do this? Because from what I know, Bobby Petrino, he doesn't give a damn about it being a couple of seconds on the clock. He's going to take his shot. So that one I will say, that's an all Jimbo call. That's an all-world Jimbo. Understand both sides of it. I know what you want to do. You don't want to turn the ball over and etc. But if you do turn the ball over, the offense isn't going to do nothing on the other side that you can turn the ball over to. So what? At least you're giving everybody a chance, giving everybody a shot. Okay? Also, this is what needs to pick up. And this is why I say the back half of this schedule sets you up so perfectly. Okay? You got South Carolina next. You have them next. It is what it is. That is your next opponent. South Carolina isn't very good. They are okay offensively. They're okay offensively once they get going. But your defense isn't going to let South Carolina get going. Okay? They're not. They're not going to let them get going. However, South Carolina has no lick of defense. And you cannot get out there and show them that they have a defense because they don't. They just don't. So this is what I'm wanting to see because we're going to have to lighten up this load for Max. All right? So, Max, I do got your back, and I'm still riding with you. I do believe in you. I do believe in you. I just believe that you're playing just a bit too perfect. And that's hurting you. That's hurting you, and that's hurting the coaching staff because they're not asking you to be perfect. They're just asking you to execute some plays. A lot of people are saying, oh, man, I'm tired of seeing execute. Man, nobody gives a damn about that, man. So what if you're tired of hearing it? You guys have to put it into your mind and do it. I get tired of hearing certain shit at work, but I still go in there and work anyways. That's just what it is, man. You have to get the job done. You got to get the job done. So this is where we're going to have to execute at. And we're going to have to execute this going forward in the back half of the season because it's a team that came in there and ran for over 200 yards against you. I think it's about time you start playing bully ball as well. You need to start running the football. You're getting this 1 yard of carry, 2 yards of carry. Understand the offensive line. They ain't really getting that push. But I'm going to call out the offensive line too. Y'all need to start blocking. Y'all need to start pushing these defensive linemen all the way back. Okay, once again, you aren't going up against no stellar defensive lines on the back half of this schedule. You're not. You're just simply not. You need to start mauling them. And Le'Veon Moss, Reuben Owens, and also Amari Daniels, these three guys need to start getting involved. I'm seeing Le'Veon Moss. Le'Veon Moss is fully healthy. He's looking for the ball. He's looking for the ball. Give Le'Veon the ball and let him run for a little bit. Lighten up the load. Okay? Also, I'm starting to see Jake Johnson get into more action. If that's how it's going to be, fine. Okay? Fine. I will say this, though. We cannot have all of these wide receivers and they have not caught any touchdown passes. In all of the 2 games that we played against Alabama and Tennessee, it makes no sense that no wide receiver has caught any touchdown passes in 2 straight weeks. That's an issue. That's an issue. You got to get the ball out there to them. When we're in the red zone, you got to stop playing safe. I've noticed you got to stop playing safe. You got to run some slant routes, and if they get hit, they get hit. That's what they're there for. This is football. Okay? This is football. Okay? So you gotta get out there and you gotta play to win. All right. And for whatever reason, we just keep on shooting ourselves in the foot. And that's just what it's been lately. We've been shooting ourselves in the foot. We shot ourselves in the foot 2 years in a row. Even as bad as that 5-7 season was, we shot ourselves in the foot several times. Some of those games could have been game changers. Okay, so South Carolina is your next opponent, like I say, but your next opponent is the bye week. You need to hit the bye week hard. You need to absolutely demolish the bye week and say, man, we practice our ass off. And we're going to come out here and we're going to run the same thing we ran in practice. And if you're up 28-0 at halftime, or 28-10 at halftime against South Carolina, that lets everybody know that you worked your ass off in that bye week. But South Carolina is bad defensively. I understand this. But that's an SEC opponent that beat you at their home field last year. You need to get that win back. You need to get that lick back. But once again, you need to come out and you need to dominate. You need to have everybody around the country turning their heads like, okay, there goes A&M again. That's what you need to understand. I know it don't matter, but you see Demond Demons getting a chance at Nebraska. Somebody had told me that he did get a scholarship. Did he go ahead and commit there? I mean, he got an offer. Did he go ahead and commit there? If he did, I'm going to say this here. Demond Demons, he's about to wreak havoc over there in the Big Ten. Okay? And that's going to lead me to this here. Ole Miss. I've been had wrote on my paper a long time ago before the season started that Ole Miss was the toss-up game. Now, Ole Miss is a winnable game for the 2nd year in a row. It's really the 3rd year in a row. It's a winnable game. Lane Kiffin has had your number. We're tired of seeing Lane Kiffin talk. Jimbo, you tired of seeing them talk. Don't try to come on here and be like, oh, I ain't seen nothing. Yes, you did. You seen it. You absolutely seen it. People in that coaching staff have showed you that shit. So, once again, we got to take it one game at a time. South Carolina, I had already marked that as a win. It's just the Ole Miss game right after that. We need to stop right at the Ole Miss game. That's a toss-up. That game will turn around your entire season. I'm going to say this once again. That game will turn around your entire season. Those players will feel it. That coaching staff will feel it. And that's going to solidify some stuff going for the remainder of the season. That brings confidence within that entire team. If you go out and you win that game at Ole Miss, it's no reason to why you can't win that game at Ole Miss. The only thing that you're staring at right now, and this is crazy, and I'm going to talk about these streaks in a minute. The only thing that you're staring at right now is that you are 0-9 on the road. And that's all because of you, Jimbo. Jimbo, that one is on you. We're on the road. Bro, we got to take care of our business. You got to win these games on the road. This is the only way that your team is going to turn around and do something spectacular. You got to get that done, man. You have to. So you go on the road and you take care of business against Ole Miss, in which you're going to snap the losing streak, and you're also going to snap this streak here. We have not won against no top 25 teams on the road since 2014. And that was before your time, Jimbo. That really doesn't have nothing to do with you. But then again, you're a part of this also. You haven't won either. The previous coaching staff didn't win, and you haven't won either against these top 25 teams on the road. You got to go in there, man. You got to wreak havoc. They've already sold out that game for you. Yeah, they're going to show up. Ole Miss is going to show up. That game is sold out. It's going to show up. And if it's a night game, okay, so be it. We got to go in there and we got to take care of our business. All right? The defensive line for Ole Miss, it's not elite. It's a Lane Kiffin defense. You got to go in there, man. You got to take advantage of that. The guys that did not make you the plays in 2021 when you were on the road, those aren't those same guys anymore. You don't have those same players. You now have wide receivers that can actually catch the damn ball when it's being thrown to them. So use them. The only guy that's left is Moose Muhammad and Anaya Smith from their wide receiver core that was there with you at and Max Wright. That was there with you at when you lost that game in Ole Miss. At Ole Miss. It's time for you to go and right your wrong. You have to go and right your wrong. Okay? Okay, now let's get to these streaks. Tennessee has snapped their losing streak against Texas A&M. They were 0-2 at first. Now they're 1-2. Okay. What's another one here? Like I say, it's just so many streaks. Man, the deck is stacked against you. But in the end, it's some positive as well because Jimbo, you're the first ever coach to break the losing streak to LSU. You're the first ever coach to break the losing streak at home to Auburn. You're the first ever coach to break the losing streak at home to Alabama. So these are the positives, and that's why I say the fan base may seem like they want to give up, but you can't. How can you give up when he has broken so many streaks for you? We were losing these games until you came in. The streak that you have to put to bed is the Mississippi streak. You have a losing streak to them. That was well before you, but you put some of that in there also. That losing streak to the Mississippi schools did not start until that year before Kevin Sumlin got fired because we were number 4 in the college football playoffs. I remember this like yesterday. We were number 4 in the country. And for the life of me, I honestly don't even much understand why they didn't put us at number 4. And I don't know if they put us at number 4 to embarrass us or what. But I didn't feel like we was a number 4 team. I just honestly didn't. But they say that they were looking at the resume value. And in that year, we had Trevor Knight. And we didn't lose to Alabama like that. You know, we lost by, I think, like 14 or 15, but it was on the road. We were hanging in there tough with. Anyways, keep going. We get up there. We get up there to Mississippi State. And I remember this like yesterday, man, because my cousin was down here. And we were watching the football game. It was an 11 a.m. kickoff. Forgive me. It was an 11 a.m. kickoff, early. And we was up there in Starkville. Nick Fitzgerald ran all over that team like crazy. And this is what killed Kevin Sumlin's fate. The reason why he ran all over that team was because it was at the back half of the season. And this is when Kevin Sumlin had always went down. This is when his teams ultimately always went down, and he went down with them. they had always lost the back end of their schedule. They never won on the back end of their schedule. The only times they won was when Johnny Manziel was there for those 2 years. The years after Johnny Manziel, they never won in the back half. They get up there, 6-0 streak, 5-0 streak, 6-0 streak, 5-0 streak, lose for the remainder of the season. And this is the reason to why he was fired. They lost the back half. They could never get it right. He could never get it right. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that was not on the players. That wasn't on the players at all. That was strictly on Kevin Sumlin. He could not, for the life of me, win the next half of the season. And we weren't asking him to win all of them. He just needed at least win half of it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Not against the SEC teams. That was a long losing skid. Okay? A long one. But anyways, man, we got up there to Starkville, and Nick just ran crazy. And what's ironic is that we had a backup quarterback then, because Trevor Knight got hurt. So we had to roll with a backup. I don't know if we're cursed or what with these backup quarterbacks, but the starters get hurt, and then we're all of a sudden going to the back end of the season and just looking to win all of them with the backup quarterback. I can't understand, and this has been with 2 coaches now. I can't understand that. I can't understand it. So, anywho, man, we were number 4, got up there, lost to them. I think we had lost by 2 touchdowns, or we either lost by 1 touchdown. But that right there ultimately opened up the Mississippi losing streak. And then we had Ole Miss that same year. And this was when Shea Patterson came from out of nowhere as a redshirt freshman. And this is when Hugh Freeze was still around. Hugh Freeze was another with a bad Mississippi team. Mississippi State was bad that year. That team was like 4-7. No, I think that team was like 4-6. Ole Miss was like 4-6. Both of these teams came in. Went Starkville, lost. We played, got up there, had the home game with Ole Miss, and lost by a touchdown. Shea Patterson wreaked havoc on us. And they didn't bring in Shea Patterson until like the end of the second quarter or first of the third quarter. That's when Hugh brought him in. And he just absolutely went insane on us. That's what. So, all in all, that is when the losing streak started against Mississippi, against the state of Mississippi. Ever since then, they've had something installed in them that they can beat Texas A&M no matter how talented they are. And we were always the more talented team. We were the more talented team against Ole Miss. We were the more talented team against Mississippi State. And we lost both of those. And it went on for the next year. And then it went on for the next year. But then you had Jimbo Fisher to come in, and he too lost to Mississippi State. Now, so right now, we've lost to Mississippi State for 2 years, 2 straight years. But he ended up winning 1. But it has been so much placed on Jimbo Fisher. That's why a lot of people try to say, oh, man, he needs to get gone, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he gets that much money. That's why we expecting better results, and that's why we expecting him to clean up. The guy did clean up a lot of things. He cleaned up a lot. He cleaned up recruiting for one, because guys kill me with his old recruiting nonsense, in which, A&M always had talent. And I've always told people this. No, they did not. They were never bringing in back-to-back top 5 classes. They were never bringing in back-to-back top 10 classes. And I say this time and time again, all of those guys that Kevin Sumlin brought in, about a good 40% of those guys were all 3-star players. About a good 40%. you can't sit up here and tell me that you can go and get another coach that will bring in 7 to 8 5-star defensive linemen, and then the very next year bring in another 5-star defensive lineman, and then the next year bring in another 5-star defensive lineman. You can't tell me that there's a coach on this earth that's going to go out there and do that. Okay? You just cannot tell me that. Also, with Jimbo Fisher, he's changed the trajectory of the program. He's changed the trajectory of the SEC and how the way they look at him, how the way the coaches view him. Everybody wants to beat him. He's not a Nick Saban, and I'm not going to sit up here and say that, but everybody wants to beat him. Number one, they're still mad that he pulled in a number one recruiting class. Nick Saban is still honestly mad about that. Lane Kiffin is still mad about that. Kirby Smart, he ain't really worried about it because he plays on the East. But the LSU athletic department, they're still mad at that. But not only that, it takes it back to when Jimbo Fisher brought in the number 4 class. Like, you guys don't even much looking at a lot of things. He brought in the number 4 class, in which that was our first ever number 4 ranked recruiting class that he brought in for the program. We never had that much talent. Never. And then he piled it up with a number 6 class. They had the Mon Demas and Haynes King and those guys. And then a number 7 recruiting class. We have not had those guys. So I see someone saying, but if we losing foot warms with lesser talent, why do we need those consecutive 5 stars? Because it's a roster build. You need to be able to lose some guys because you know you're going to lose them to injury and say, okay, next man up, replace them and play, if not the same, but better. I know you're just asking, and that's a true question. And this is what a lot of people will say, well, man, why do we have all those 5-star and 4-star recruits? Because you need those guys to build the roster. You need those guys for if you do lose, you only lose them by like 6 points. But you don't want to lose those games. That's the thing about it. And I guess it was just me, and I really didn't look into this. Maybe 2024 is the actual season. And the guys that have gave them hell over the years, a lot of those guys that have gave them hell has went on the record and said many of times, 2024 is the season for that team. That number 4 class that came in, those guys went 9-1. Yeah, it was a COVID season, but those guys went 9-1. So, and also those guys came in 2019. You know, that was his first ever full recruiting class. That 2019 class was number 4 in the nation. And they came in, and most of those guys started their freshman year. And then that next following year, during the COVID year, they got beat by Alabama, bad. But then they came back. But look who they had as a leader. It was Kellen Mond. He was a senior. He wasn't a senior, but he was a junior. That's crazy to me. We have a sophomore quarterback, and now we have a junior quarterback that's a backup. That's why it's amazing to me that we can't continue to keep this thing pushing. But that was only for 2 games. That's why I'm not really disoriented, that's why I'm not just as concerned as the next person. It's still a lot more time to go. Okay? But I will tell you this. If they do go out and go 5-7, in which is the bottom of the barrel, if they do go out and be 5-7, or they go 7-5, you're not going to lose your 2022 recruiting class because those guys still want to be there because of the simple fact that Connor is coming back next year. The people that you will lose, though, is that humongous defensive line, that elite defensive line. You're going to lose most of those guys because most of those guys are going to put their names in the draft and they're going to leave. You are going to lose some of that recruiting class that you have right now that's ranked at number 4 currently, you will lose a couple of top end of those guys. I think Terry Bussey is here to stay. And I think several more of those other guys are here to stay. But you will lose some of those guys, okay? Only because of the product on the field, it wasn't good to them. It's not much more that you can convince those guys about than what you have already convinced them on. Only thing that you can sell those guys right now is loyalty. That's it. That's it. If you were to go 5-7 or 7-5, if for whatever reason you go 5-7, you will lose half of that recruiting class, and I know that for a fact. I know that you will lose half of that recruiting class. There are gone. Once again, I don't think you'll really lose too many people from your 2022 class because they're here to build it with you. But you will lose half of that class from that 2024. Oh, those guys are going to decommit. And I know that for sure. Why? Because they don't know where the coaching is going to go. You know? So I'm riding with you. I don't believe we'll see a 5-7 season because you don't have a 5-7 team. Those guys don't like losing. So I expect those guys to come out here and play some dominant football going forward. I honestly do. But like I say, you have to go and beat South Carolina, and you have to beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss is your turning point. And that's crazy because Lane ain't got the talent that you got. He doesn't. Lane just likes offense, and that's it. He could give a flip about defense. He just wants the offense to be good. He wants the offense to be potent. But you have the defense that'll shut Lane Kiffin down, and he knows that. He knows this. But your turning point is Ole Miss because you've now ended the streak of the on the road losing. You've ended the 0-9 losing streak, but you've also ended the top 25 losing streak on the road. So you got 2 streaks that have essentially been wiped out, and you're no longer part of that conversation as a loser. You get to start your wins back over again of winning on the road. And when you do come to Mississippi State, is at home, in which you're going to have home field advantage, I expect you to go in there and knock them out. Then Abilene Christian, I don't even much expect your starters to play in that game. And then you got LSU, and where you're walking into Baton Rouge with full confidence because you know what? They ain't got no defense neither. The only thing that you got to stop is their offense. But guess what? LSU knows that you have the defense to stop them. That's what it's about. So you just have to keep on going. And like I say, the coaches in the SEC, they don't like Jimbo Fisher. They don't. It isn't nothing against Texas A&M. It's just against Jimbo Fisher. They don't like the guy because he's taking all their recruits away. He took the recruits away from LSU, and now he's pulling out top 5 kids from Louisiana. He's snatching them. He's getting them. He's taking out top kids from Alabama now. So Nick Saban darn sure doesn't like that. But the state of Texas, he and also Steve Sarkisian, they've both boarded off the state of Texas now. They're getting all the recruits from out of their own backyard. They're mad at that. They don't like that. Nick Saban was winning those battles. You know, LSU can recruit itself. They were winning those battles. They're not winning them like that anymore. So a lot of coaches do want Jimbo Fisher gone already. So they can now go in and start getting some of these recruits. But they can't get them because Jimbo Fisher has a firm grip on them. He just does, man. I mean, I'm sorry. It is what it is. He has a firm grip on them. Now, the recruiting class wasn't good last year. We know that. But he has a firm grip on recruiting. He knows what he's doing. Other coaches know what they're doing also, but still, they know that it's some of these battles they're not going to win when they find out that Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M is involved. A lot of those coaches kind of look crazy, like, oh, man, I'll just let it go. We're not going to win that battle. A lot of them know that. So they hate it. So their mindset is to beat the snot out of them. And they want to embarrass you, and they want Texas A&M to fire you already. That's just what it is. All right. But this is called recruiting. And now you got Texas and Oklahoma coming in here. And if Steve Sarkisian can come in here with a Jimbo Fisher being fired type deal, and Brent Venables can come in here with a Jimbo Fisher being fired type deal because they don't like you neither, then they feel darn good about where they're at. You know, but that's the thing. Texas A&M would not. Texas A&M ain't going to let the dude go. Okay, I'm here to tell you guys this. I'm a firm believer in that. They want him here throughout the remainder of this season, and they want him here for 2024 for when Texas and Oklahoma comes into the league. They want to see what that battle is like, but they want to win. They do want to win. Like, don't get that mistaken. They want to win. But in 2024, they want Jimbo Fisher to be here for that last game to play Texas. Because Texas may be the last game, or Texas may be one of those games that's like in the middle of the season somewhere. But also, man, you guys got to realize this here. Sticking to 2023, if we get way down, to the bottom of that schedule, and Texas A&M goes to LSU and beats LSU, you're going to see a lot of those LSU commits decommit. Because now you got Texas A&M sitting at 9-3. Now they're back on board again. Now they're believing. You got Caden Durham over there. That's a running back. Trust me, Jimbo is still recruiting him. If they go into Baton Rouge and they beat LSU, a lot of those guys that you've seen line up for LSU, they're going to line up for Texas A&M. Why? Because the believance is there. They know that they can win. That's the turning point. You guys got to look at how Alabama went. They were 5-7 last year and they beat LSU. What makes you think that they won't come back and beat them this year? What makes you think that? LSU was the better team last year, period. And they still got their asses whooped. They did. So, once again, you got A&M. They beat South Carolina. They go into Ole Miss and they beat them. That's a turning point. Got Mississippi State win. Abilene Christian win. And for the last game of the season, it's LSU. They walk into Baton Rouge, in which Baton Rouge is going to be on fire that night. They walk in there and they walk out with a dub. That same recruiting class that you see right now at number 4 is going to get bigger. It is going to get bigger. And everybody is going to be back on board for Jimbo Fisher, because Jimbo Fisher not only broke the streak of losing on the road, but he's broken the streak of not winning at LSU. He's the first ever coach that's going to walk out and say, I won at LSU. Come and play for me because I told you, about where we were going. That's turning points at the end of the season. Turning points for recruiting. Turning point for winning on the road. Now these kids believe. They're back on again. They're in it. And then you set up the season for 2024 for Connor Wakeman to come back. And he's a junior. For Evan to come back. He's a junior. Noah to come back. He's a junior. Moose, I feel like he's going to come back. He's a senior. No, man. No. And then Ananias, he's going to be gone. He's not coming back this year. I know that's true. But he's going to be gone. But he can say, too, that we broke all those streaks that y'all said we couldn't break. All right? And then you get to the bowl game and you win the 10th game. Man, your spring game is going to be sold out. It's going to be sold out because we want to see it. We want to see it. And then you're going to bring in probably the number 2 recruiting class if all of this is done. If all of this is done, you bring in a number 2 recruiting class, or you bring in a number 3 one behind Ohio State. I feel that way. But like I say, Lane didn't want you to come in there and beat him, of course. LSU don't want you to come in there and beat him, of course. No, they don't want that because momentum will be on your side. Swinging in 2024, you're on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then plus the bowl game, a six-game winning streak in which everybody was ready to write you off. So that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, man. And then Oklahoma and Texas coming into the league. And then you don't have no Alabama on your schedule next year. Thank goodness. That's going to be something else, man. Mm-hmm. So, guys, that's all I have for you on today. Thank you all for tuning in. I will be back on Thursday, okay? Thank all of you. Please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And once again, Homemade Podcast Sport. Kick.